Hey everybody, it's Randy Justice, owner of Knox Horizon Complete Auto Care at 4701 Clinton Highway. Today I'm here with our shop foreman, Joseph Childress, and we want to talk about the AC system on your car. We're starting to get into summer. We're in the mid 80s to high 80 degree temperatures, and we're not even in summer yet. So we know the hottest days are coming. And if your air conditioning is not cooling like it used to, we'll tell you a couple of reasons why and what we go through to get you back to where you're not sweating sitting in your car in traffic. So, Joseph, one of the first things, we've talked about this just a little while ago, that we should check on every vehicle, and a lot of shops miss. Most of them leak at these little Schrader valves.
Yes, sir.
Where we connect the hoses and stuff. And I'll show everybody. So this is where we connect the hoses to do the AC service. And there's a little valve in there just like the valve that's in your tires for your tire pressure. And those valves leak all the time. So the first thing we do when your car comes in is we check to make sure those valves aren't leaking. Because if they're leaking, until we stop that, we don't even need to be checking anywhere else for leaks. So Joseph, why don't we run through a minute and tell people, so let me back up just a minute. So back in the day, that a lot of people that watch these still remember, back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, when you brought a car in, people hooked gauges up and could tell you exactly, oh yeah, we need to shoot more in, we need to do this. Right. People can still go to the auto parts store and buy stuff that they shouldn't be putting in their vehicle, but it's still sold. So one of the first things we have to do, and you had it a minute ago, where's our identifier at? So once we make sure whether the Schrader valves are leaking, one of the next things we have to do when a car comes in, we have an identifier that tells us whether the correct refrigerant is in that system. If we don't do that, not only can we contaminate and run our machine, but we also need to know there's a lot of cars that come out of Mexico especially that they put things like propane in them. If anybody doesn't know, propane's explosive. Not a good thing. It cools great. It'll make your air conditioner run you out of it. It'll be so cold. But you get in a wreck and the car blows up, you got a problem with the propane. So the first thing we do is we identify, is the proper refrigerant in there? And if it's anything other than what should be in there, whether it's R134A on a system like this or YF1234 on the newer systems, if it doesn't, then oh my God, our procedure that we have to do, we have to take everything out that's in there, have a special system to do that with, put it in its own separate, and just to show you guys, I know we're skipping around, but we have to put it in its own special tank that's its own special color because it's a hazardous material. So we have to do that, and then it has to be disposed of by a hazardous material disposal company. So the very first thing we do, as I said, is we check to make sure it's got the right refrigerant in there. So if it has the right refrigerant in there, what's the next step that we do?
Suck it all down, hook it up to the machine.
So we have our 134A machine, we hook the hoses up, we take everything that's in there out to find out exactly how much is in there. Now, in the old days, what we were talking about years ago, you didn't have to have precise amounts.
No.
You could be over or under charged and it would still work. But everything I know about today's systems, that's not the case anymore, is it?
Not 80.
You can be off as much as a quarter of an ounce.
And it'll suffer.
And it not cool right.
It'll suffer.
Whether it's over or under charged. So the only proper way to do an AC service is to evacuate everything that's in there, find out how much of the refrigerant's in there, pull everything under a vacuum, which actually gets all the moisture and all the contaminants out there.
Non-condensables.
Everything is filtered through a filter in this machine so that when we recharge it, everything that goes back in is 100% clean refrigerant, so that your system's going to be running right. Now, another thing we do, we talked about the Schrader valves leaking, but there's multiple other points that can leak.
The next most common place for AC system to leak is your condenser. You going down the road, you're on the highways and stuff, you get rocks that come up and everything, and they have been known to pierce the condenser. So that's the second most common
and your condenser's behind this grill. So if the condenser has to be replaced, a lot of people go, why is it so expensive to repair my AC system? This whole grill and bumper has to come off to get to the condenser in this vehicle. So all that's got to come off. Now, we want to talk about getting into expense if we have one leaking. If nobody's ever heard of it, there's an evaporator core. Where's the evaporator core at?
In behind everything in the dash. So everything, all the dash, steering wheel, all of that stuff has to be removed and to replace the evaporator core.
So now, what's next to the evaporator core? The heater core.
The heater
for
core.
the radiator.
Sorry.
So while you're in there, if your evaporator core is leaking, no extra labor, you're only talking about the part, it's a good idea to go ahead and replace that heater core because it has the same mileage that the rest of the vehicle has. And if the evaporator core is leaking, what I normally find is that heater core is not too far behind it. No. So it's a good time at that point to go ahead and replace it because you're talking about parts.
Yep, just parts.
You're not talking about any extra labor because you've already got everything tore apart.
That's right.
So that's the two, the condenser, the compressor, and the evaporator core is probably the three main, most expensive components that you're going to have to replace on AC system because I would say third, the compressor. They can leak. They can lock up. There's all kinds of things that can happen there.
Clutch can go out and not work. And
right.
And then that, if you do have compressor failures, then you have a chance of contaminating the whole system. Then you might have to, so it's good to do maintenance on to do these evac and recharges because you're just getting all that trash and junk that gets built up in here and what causes the failures, you're getting all that out and you're getting fresh, clean refrigerant in there and have a good performance in your system.
So a lot of people ask, they say, well, it's a sealed system. How do I lose refrigerant or how does contaminants get in there? Well, one thing on losing refrigerants, there's a ton of O-rings and rubber hoses throughout this system. And over time, rubber degrades. We've all seen it. Whether it's your tires and dry rot, whether it's any kind of rubber can degrade. So over time, you're going to get little leaks out of your system. So over a period of 5-6 years, you may have a system that's never giving you any troubles, and all at once, you bring it in, it's low on refrigerant. And we may not be able to find a leak at all. Another reason we put dye in every system that we do an evacuation and recharge, so that if there's a pinhole leak somewhere, that we can find that leak if it comes back and it's not cooling again. Again, number one place they leak is those little valves that we talked about, the Schrader valves. So that's why we check that the first thing, and that's really easy to replace those valves during an evacuation and recharge because we've already got everything out of it. Replace the valves, we put it under a vacuum, make sure nothing else leaking, get it charged back up. And most of the time, in those cases, if there's nothing else, you can be good for another 3-4 years and everything be fine. Moisture getting in systems. It's not because the system is open to anything. No. Moisture just builds up from the heat.
Hot, cold, hot, cold.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that refrigerant is a gas and a liquid. On one side, it's a gas. On the other side, it's a liquid. So that constant changing back and forth also helps create and build up that moisture in there and a lot of the contaminants and stuff that get in there. So that's the reason we have to go through a complete evacuation and recharge and make sure we have the proper amount of refrigerant in the system so it's operating to its maximum efficiency. Have we missed anything?
No, the only one good thing, if you ever come in and any component needs to be changed on your system, say it's condenser or your compressor, anytime you open those lines, it's always 100% you need to change your expansion valve, which your expansion valve is back here. This is where your expansion valve is. Well, most of your expansion valves. In your older systems, they got what you call orifice tube, but we won't get into that. But just change this. Anytime you open up systems, it's always good to change that to keep the performance of your system.
And there are some systems that when you have to replace a compressor, especially if it's an internal failure, the manufacturer will tell you for warranty purposes, you have to change the condenser. It's a must for warranty purposes. And of course, here at Knox Horizon, any repairs we do on your air conditioning system or anything else comes with a 36-month, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty backed by Napa. So you know if you get it fixed here and you go on vacation to Florida or Arizona or somewhere hot and the AC gets out, you call a toll-free number, they get you to a shop to get it taken care of, because unfortunately we live in a world where even new components fail.
They do.
Nothing's built the way it used to be. We take great care in every repair we do, but we don't have any control over the quality of parts coming out of these factories.
Right.
So that's why we have that warranty on there.
Yes, sir. That's the best
So
thing ever.
right now, to let everybody know too, at Knox Horizon, we're going to be running a special through the end of July. 50% off an evacuation and recharge on your vehicle. So let's get it in here, find out what's going on with it. Let's get you back to where you're cool during these summer months.
Terrible summer months.
And we can take care of all your needs right here at Knox Horizon. Anything you want to add, brother?
No, that's it.
Guys, I hope this has been informative to you and you know a little bit more about your air conditioning system. Look forward to seeing you at Knox Horizon Complete Auto Care, 4701 Clinton Highway. Look us up on the web at knoxhorizon.com. That's KNOX horizon.com. Or give us a call, 865-219-6999.